list.
Hey, it's your girl Heavenly B, and I'm here with Dale and David. Say hey.
Hey,
Hey, hey, hey.
And we're meeting with y'all again because we're gonna talk to you all about this new podcast that we've been diving into and let you know our thoughts about it, give you reviews, etc., etc. So thank you for tuning into the Prince George's Daily.
week.
Dale? Weekly, monthly.
Whenever.
Dale, I want you to lead this
Periodically.
conversation because you really put us onto this podcast.
Okay, so I thought that it would be a good idea for us to actually listen to what professional people are doing out there. And this is a podcast that nerdy me is like really into. So when I'm taking my long drives to Michigan, this is one of the podcasts I listen to, and it sort of makes my drive seem shorter.
Mm,
It follows a historical perspective. This is not an American podcast.
mm.
So it's this academic and this journalist who come together, and they seem to have decent rapport, and I think they have pretty good subject matter. So that's the one that I asked y'all to review, and y'all gonna have some that y'all want me to review as well. So each of us is gonna pick one, and then we're
Okay.
gonna go through it because I know we
Okay.
don't listen to the same podcast.
Uh-uh.
So was Empire new to either of you?
It was new to me. I'd never heard of the podcast. The only
Same
empire
here.
I heard of was with Cookie in them.
Right. The Lions.
The Lions Den.
And this is just like that. Nobody's ever heard it. No, it's not.
But no, it's my first time hearing of it. I thought that I liked the title and the subject matter that they were covering. What about you, David?
The subject matter was cool. It was lengthy for me, but it was good subject matter. Like I did hear some things that I don't typically hear all the time. You know, you get a little bit more of the nuances and not just, oh yeah, slavery, it was terrible. They took them from here and took them there. Boo. Like there's a little more nuance. I appreciated that.
Just so we make it fair, we reviewed one episode. They have
Yeah.
recorded well over 100 episodes, and we reviewed one episode in a series. So one
Yeah.
of the whole season.
And I think that's one of the things I appreciated about it was that you knew that it was a series and it was like a short recap that wasn't titled a recap, but just they will always reference the previous episode before they get into the new details. Almost reminds me of teaching, right? So you can tell it's an academic podcast, right? Let's go over what we talked about before to ensure that you have grasped that before we load you with this extra information. So I appreciated that part. I thought that especially if a person is invested in the history, it was a good way to get them excited about the next episode too, because they know that it's already going to be broken up into a series.
Right.
So that was good. I even liked the way they transitioned into ads. It was a very smooth transition to ads. It seemed natural. It didn't seem like, oh God, y'all, let me pause real quick and do this ad so I can get this money. It sounded authentic and like they really, really believed in the product, you know, and it was seamless.
If you're listening to the podcast, you can still zap the ads. You just have to know that whole ad break is going to be a minute and 15. So you fast forward 50, boom, 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 and you're done with the ads.
Amen. Thank you for the tip, because I love information. I love history.
Right.
But that joint was losing me because of the length. So now I started to relate to my students in the sense that if something is too lengthy in terms of you just talking to them and information, especially if it's not visual, you're going to lose me after a while. Now my brain thinks, because it could be one thing that you said on that podcast, and now my mind is thinking about something else, and I haven't heard anything else you said because it reminded me of something, and my mind went elsewhere. Right. So I do believe in what you have always said, Dale, is that most podcasts need to be about 20, 30 minutes max. Like, we not trying to listen to no hour and a half podcast. That could have been 3 episodes.
Easily.
Leave the audience wanting more of you, not less of you.
Yes. Yes.
I like
you
it.
called it. I was like, my thing for me, it was like once you made your point, that's cool. And I appreciate the academic aspect and everything. I'm like, okay, what is next? And why does everything sound like it's on the same wavelength as far as how you're talking about it? I'm like, so what are we talking about again? Like, you're staying on topic, but it's really
you feel like it was dragged. They dragging it, as the Gen Zers would say, you dragging it. Like,
was that because of the hosts or because of the subject matter? I think it's the hosts.
I think it's the host.
I think it's the host.
Yeah. The subject matter was,
especially the dude.
Guy, yes. I'm like,
y'all better know me in real life to know that I really don't like talking to nobody that don't get to the point quick. Like, what are you saying? Get to it. Spit it out. So, yeah, that may have been a issue for me listening to it. But overall, like the subject matter, I think one of the things that stood out most to me about the subject matter that I appreciated was their take on really highlighting, not in a positive or negative way, but just educating about the business of the slave trade, because we always talk about the slave trade and the cruelty that went on, and we blur over or glaze over the business side of it and the deep rooted motive in it. So it was a good perspective to explore, and I like that part of it.
Yeah.
One thing about me though, when I'm listening to things that are historical, some things I already know, so I don't have to go back and confirm or fact check. But if I hear anything new, now I gotta do a deeper investigation. Before I just be sitting here listening, who said that what you're saying is all facts? Now I gotta do my deeper investigations. So that could be a good or bad thing. I think it's a good thing though, because it makes you research, it makes you learn, it opens your mind.
Yeah, I think it's a good thing. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it'll definitely drive you. You got enough time to sit there and think about the things you're gonna research.
Yeah.
Especially when the guys start talking, it'd be like, bro.
You can start researching as soon as you hear his voice.
That's what I do. That's how my mind works. Like, let me just, but I don't hear nothing else you're saying because you're losing me.
The womp, 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 womp.
But what was your guys' takeaway from the episode, or your favorite point that was made during that episode?
I got mine.
All right, let me hear.
Well, the thing that got me, and I was just talking with my son about this, was the business of it, and the year 2013. 2013 was the year that the British government finished paying off the slave owners for the loss of their property. 2013. So, of course, I did my research, I did a little calculation, and based on American economy and what they ended up paying, 40% of GDP, they ended up paying those people $40 trillion.
Ooh.
Nothing for the slaves, nothing for the families or the descendants of the slaves, but $40 trillion for the slave owners
to the slave owners
property.
Yeah,
2013. That was not long ago.
Yeah,
sorry for your losses, guys.
That's why we know we should be getting reparations, and they can afford to do
it. That drew me right into doing some research. I need to figure this out. Is this real? And if it's real, how much money we talking? If it took them 200 years to pay it off,
right?
That's insane.
Yeah.
So
and who got the money? Who got the money in 2012?
See how we all our minds like go different places when you listening to things like that.
Yeah.
So, David, what'd you take away? What was your takeaway from it?
Of course, they talked and focused a lot on the business of the slave trade, which for people who don't know anymore, other than the fact that it was cruel, there was a reason behind it. It wasn't necessarily simply because there was another reason behind it. Money was a big motivator, which we know cash rules everything around us, right? For me, it kind of reminded me of how much gripe we should have with Britain, like because that's where all this stuff came from. Like they really started a lot of what we're still dealing with now. And even when you see what happened with the royal family, like how they were talking about how they didn't even nobody condemned the fact that people were actually trading slaves. They were more so mad that, well, how many people are going to make money off of this? Too many people. It's like, it's not the fact that, oh, these people are being treated bad. It's, oh,
they didn't see it as inhumane. They literally looked at it like, oh, we just got us some people. We couldn't find the gold, but we came back with some people. I mean, that should add up and do it. Yeah. Like, you know, and they like, oh, okay, cool. Hey, how y'all doing? Come on. Y'all gonna work right over there. It's like, hello, anybody realize these people have flesh and blood just like you running through their veins, that this might not be good?
I mean, everybody from the church down signed off on it. So it's like nobody saw anything wrong with it. That's the thing that got me. I'm like, not a shock, but
Right.
So, and then of course they went into talking about the Africans that worked with them to trade other Africans. So, you know, that perspective is starting to be talked about more, but that part of the whole thing was often left out, right? People didn't want to look at that aspect of things and the motive behind that. So at the end of the day, the motive was money, even with them. So it's
money and power.
Money and power. And to me, that's always been the thing that'll make a person sell out or do cruel things since the beginning of time.
Yeah.
It's money and power. That's what people love so much. And listen, I love me a coin, but I'm so grateful that I don't love money to the point where I will compromise my character, my integrity, and jeopardize or put other humans in a position to be beneath me or to be maltreated. Like, nah.
Oh, hold on.
Thank you, God.
Time out. Let me ask you this. Okay. If somebody was willing to pay you just to snitch, and all you doing is you snitching on something you know happened.
I'm Lil Kim.
Be a witness.
I'm doing the time.
Huh?
I'm Lil Kim. I'm doing the time. I ain't snitching.
But I know people have a number. I don't know what your number is. I tell you what mine is. So we talking felony? Are we talking misdemeanor? Are we talking like life sentence?
Is it somebody you like or don't like? Because that factors.
Is somebody
that definitely factors in. Because if I don't like you, I don't even have a high price. Like,
right. Because if I know you a pedophile.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
that's $2. I'll take $2.
Yeah,
get them.
Give me $1. I'm good.
Put my name in the paper. That's all I need.
But if you whoop somebody that need to be whooped, $2 is not enough for me. $1,000 ain't enough for me. I mean, let's say David lost it and just beat somebody up, and I'm the one who pulled him off.
I don't know nothing. I ain't seen David in a while.
Who is David?
I don't even know if that's my thing.
How you spell that?
I got you, David. They deserve that whooping, and I ain't seen nothing.
All right.
I'm not even sure I pulled you off.
Right. How could you have pulled him off? You haven't seen him in a while. Like, that's what I'm saying. Like,
but somebody I work with at the place I work, if I see them in a fight from a distance, I'm calling the
police. They're fighting over
You'll keep walking. You're like, there's some people fighting down there.
You know, and I'm gonna send them to 911. Look what happened. This is his name. This is what he drives.
You better hurry up and get here. It look like he losing.
So go back. So the point you were making, though, when I was saying that, you know, I can't see me selling out people or doing something that's going to compromise, like the treatment of other people. You were asking me basically what my price is.
Yeah.
I don't think I got one. You know, I haven't been put in a situation where I've been tested, but I don't think I have one. Like, I'm not impressed by. I mean, I like money. That's why I want to keep reiterating that. I do like money, but I'm not impressed or driven by it, like money. Just not. Never have been.
Other people have a price. You don't have a
Yeah.
price. David ain't got a price. I got a price. But other people do have a price. Now, I don't know if I'm going to sell my neighbor into slavery.
No. And definitely not. Okay.
Which neighbor?
No, I'm not selling my neighbor into no slavery. Like, if somebody had came up to me with the idea, I would have been like, what are you talking? What you say? You want to know? I would think they are foolish to even come to me with that idea. So they had to pick the people. You know how you always know. You like, man, this one to go for some crap like this. Let me go talk to him. You know who you could come at with the BS and who you can't.
So they found the people. They found the ones that they could go to with that and say, well, we got guns for y'all. You can collect a whole bunch of more people, and we're gonna give you money. We're gonna give you guns
and power.
And power. You run this whole thing.
That's crazy.
All you gotta do is just hand over a couple million people for me.
That's wild. A couple million people, not things, but people. That's wild.
But I mean, but I'm in fairness, they were handing over ops. So
please. That's what they would like to say to make themselves sleep well at night and to justify what you're doing. Oh, they deserve it. They need punishment. It's like jail. No, please.
This is my opposition. They got the better land. Let them go across that ocean, and I'm gonna actually farm this land and make more money for my people. We're the winners here. I don't think there's a good excuse for it. I don't think there's ever a good excuse for slavery. And we know that the Africans were not the first to be enslaved. We're not the last to be enslaved. But
in that way, though.
I'm sorry?
In that way, though?
African chattel slavery has no match.
Yeah.
It's not even close.
So
everybody else got free or reparations, or the systems that were in place were destroyed. It ain't that way.
Right.
Yeah. Sheesh.
Let's go on down the list. Hold up. The hosts, there are 2 hosts. What were your pros and cons for the host? One thing you liked about the host and one thing that wasn't all that great.
It's just me. I didn't want them talking about this. I just didn't. You ain't have no guests on. No guests that maybe has a different perspective because they can relate more. Like, give me a more Afrocentric perspective on this. I didn't want you talking about this. That's just probably my emotional standpoint.
Listen, it's
you're trying to act very, this is terrible. It was like almost exaggerated because you know that other people was thinking like heavily, like while they talking about, it was just horrible. Girl,
it was foul.
When you be talking to your homegirls and do you be saying it like that?
It was quite dreadful what they did to me. Like, I don't want to hear that. Like,
sure.
Yeah, it definitely didn't sound like even though it was very historical and academic, it definitely didn't sound like it was anybody other than them talking about this. It's like having a bunch of guys sit around and talk about women's health. Like, it's just
ding, 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 ding. I like it. That was a good example. And they say, it's cruel, it's terrible. We believe you, but when you and the boys together, what y'all be really saying? How do you say this? Like,
how we know you ain't got some in a stake in this somewhere? You know,
bring a woman on too to also offer that perspective, because I can understand you wanting to highlight something that you've researched, that you've learned about, but I think you need to bring subject matter experts and people that can relate more when you having those kind of conversations. That's just my personal perspective. It's just like me talking about mental health and decide I don't want to bring a therapist on. Like, I need to bring somebody else on that can relate to that, not just me talking about what I think and ideas and something I read.
In their defense, there were several episodes in this series, and they had guests on most of the episodes.
Okay.
This was just, I think, 1 or 2 of like 10 where there were no guests.
Okay, so they'll set y'all up. Sorry, y'all. They'll set y'all up again.
So yeah, did the guests sound like them?
Well, yeah, the guests were just like them.
Like,
They're friends.
Yeah, I'm like, you around the corner. What's the difference? A spot of tea and slavery.
So you want to talk about African history, right. And you don't want to interview no African or no African American or no nobody of African descent, no Black Briton, whatever they call them. Do they call them Brits?
Brits, yeah.
You don't want to interview nobody of African descent, but you talking about African history.
For this episode, I don't think they interviewed anybody. I'm not sure. I got to look back and see if they had Black guests on this series.
Probably one token.
It would be nice, right? Tell us what it was like.
Do we really want to talk about slavery with white folk?
We would love to go there and educate a little more. We really don't, to an extent. I guess they will be there. Oh, it's so horrible. You'd be like sitting there in their face now saying, girl.
Yeah.
But I do think if you could come from an educational perspective and you feel like they actually are interested in learning, cool. If they talk less, they ask questions and they shut up and let you answer them, I think we could and we would feel good having those kind of conversations with them. It's the conversations where they have to add their opinions that would throw us off. We ain't here for that. You interviewing me. You just talk when you asking questions. That's it. Shh.
That's my life. You know?
Was there anything we liked about the hosts? We don't have to like anything, but was there anything we liked about those hosts?
I mean, she was better than him.
Okay.
If that makes any sense. Like, because he was just yeah.
I like that they did their research.
Yeah. They were
very well studied. I think that was the thing I appreciated the most. I feel like they researched before their shows and they did the work to really be able to come from a place that at least was intended to be compassionate.
Right.
So.
Yeah. The other guy.
Sorry. You got to tell us your perspective.
Right.
I like her a lot.
Oh, okay.
I'm not as big a fan of him. And I think that he's much more like me. And she's much more like I was when I was a young journalist. I mean, she asks the right question, but she actually gets to the point. And she builds a story. And he's like, oh, I got to tell you this really exciting thing that I found. And this exciting thing that I found. And let me tell you about my dog.
Yeah.
Your dog was a part of the trade? What he had to do with this?
No, but he reminds me of.
Right. He reminded me of this guy. What? Huh?
So he comes from y'all feel like he's more like the new podcasters that are out here just talking with their homeboys and homegirls on the mic. And she's actually structured and has a plan, whereas he's just like kicking it.
Okay, so the reason that those two hosts are there, she's there because she is the journalist. She's the storyteller. She's the one that weaves the podcast together.
Mm-hmm.
He is the subject matter expert. He's written like 30 books. He does presentations to Cambridge and Oxford on his research. He is the world's expert on the British Empire through India.
Okay.
So
school me.
That's just who he is. Now, I think he's probably a likable person to people who are British.
Maybe.
And maybe just a little bit snooty. And she seems much more down to earth. But I mean, she also seemed a little snooty. She's the BBC. British Broadcasting Corporation.
See? Okay. So we talked about if we felt like the hosts were interested as well as the subject matter. What about the length of the podcast? I think we touched on that though. We said like me and David both feel like it was too long, I think, for the type of content. Like if it was comedy or something, it might not be too long. But with the type of content, with it being something heavy, with it being something that's like what's the word I'm looking for? I can't find the word I'm looking for.
But your emotions.
Your emotions, but also it's just like a lot of knowledge to take in. It's a lot of things to take in. Like when you're listening to something that's like comical or something that's light, you don't really have to think hard. You don't have to take in information. You don't have to process, right? But when you have a podcast like this where you have to process information, I think it's too long because what they call it is like information overload.
Right. Right.
Yeah. And it doesn't help when he goes on tangents that have nothing to do with whatever. That makes everything longer because it's like you're trying to remember what the point was previous before all the Tourette's started to kick in.
Right.
Didn't say the man got Tourette's, Lord.
Okay, so I guess the question is this a podcast we're sharing with our friends? We might share with somebody we think would like it, or nah?
I would share with somebody that I think would like it. Like my friends who are into history, I would. I definitely don't think it was a bad podcast. Would it be something I'm shouting from the roofs, telling everybody? Would I be posting it online saying you got to hear this? No. But if I'm having a conversation with someone who's interested in things like that, I say, oh, you should listen to this podcast called Empire. You really like it.
Right.
Yeah. That's definitely not my day-to-day kind of podcast that I would just throw on to listen to because there's way too much information. And again, with the length, like you've told us, most people listen to podcasts in traffic. So by the time they get to where they need to go, like you still got 15, 20 minutes left. I'm not going to finish
45.
And I'm not going to want to come back. I'm not going to think about it tomorrow and say, let me finish listening to that. It's not one of those.
Right.
Yeah. So
for me.
No, not for me. I would recommend it to somebody who is, like she said, interested in that.
And I thought I was like a little nerdy and but I still got a cap.
Listen, once that clock went to 27
we are all
minutes,
a little nerdy, all three of us.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Nap time to go to sleep. So,
what are we reviewing next time? Who's got one for us?
I want to talk about something. I don't know if we should add this on here or make it separate.
Yes, we should.
First of all, are you guys aware of Hillman Talk University? Because we're in the middle of history. I was going to record this and separately, but I think I should record it with y'all. But now I'm confused because y'all saying y'all never even heard of it.
What school is this?
Hillman Talk University. Okay, so let me give y'all the backstory.
Okay.
First of all, this is right after our new president gets in office, and all the stuff he's doing that could directly or indirectly affect people that look like us. This professor is beginning the semester at North Carolina A&T, and to connect with her students, she creates a TikTok account, right? And on this TikTok account, she's saying, hey, welcome to African American Studies 101. I'm Professor Barlow. Basically, you can find me here and things will be posted here. Well, everybody starts saying, hey, Professor or Dr. Harlow, like, we're ready to take your class. And she's like, oh, no, this is for my real students. Like, this for my real students. But everybody on TikTok thought she was just doing like an African-American studies type of thing because of the climate that we were in. Everybody was just like interested, right?
Yeah.
So from all that, she has started a revolution. These people like, no, you can't leave us out. You talking about your real class. We are your real class. You need to educate us, give us some time, even if it's like 20 minutes out your day. So then other professors started seeing what she was doing and they started offering other courses. So like she's doing African American Studies 101. Then I seen like a horticulture, like and gardening type of thing. Then I saw someone came up with like finance 101. So it's like a whole like list of classes you can take. And these are real professors, like they work at colleges and universities, and they like most of them have their doctorate. And they are they are telling you the days that they're going to come on live to give you something. They can't give you their whole curriculum, but bits and pieces. So what she did after everybody bombarded her with requests, she came back on. She gave a list of the books that you're gonna need to read, and she like, okay, I'll see y'all every Friday. So the craziest thing about it is she was gonna give people like digital downloads of the books, like just download this. And people in the comments like, no, if you're gonna be giving us this information, you got to get compensated in some way. So you're gonna monetize your account so you can get compensated from the viewership, and then also you need to put your Amazon link with the books on it so we can purchase from you. And she was like, oh, y'all gonna make sure I get paid. So it just became this whole thing. And I said, one thing I know for sure is that we're witnessing history here. It's like a modern day community building in a tough time, right? And it was accidental. So now they have kind of organized it in a way where they built a website. I don't know who was they that did it. It's like, you know, when you start to come together as a community, everybody has what the other needs. She's not really tech savvy. She didn't even know how to do Amazon link. Somebody that made a website, they listed all the classes that they vetted to make sure these are real doctors and professionals that have subject matter expertise. And they have a whole list of the curriculum. Now they got merch, right? They got merch. So like hoodies and sweatshirts and everything to sell. And they're calling it Hillman Talk because it's like an online HBCU now. And it's so cool. And this lady's life is going to elevate. And also, I love seeing how enthused everybody is about learning and about building community and building Black minds right from the comfort of their homes. And it's going to inspire people to go and enroll in actual college.
Yeah.
So go check it out, y'all.
I will.
Dr. Barlow is the lady that started it. So I'm expecting to see her on one of these talk shows soon.
I'm gonna drive down to A&T and go visit her.
She married.
So
I'm
not trying to date her. I'm trying to give her flowers.
Okay. In person. That's a long drive just to meet somebody you never met.
You been to A&T?
No, but I've been in North Carolina.
It's not that long a drive, and that's where I get my grits from. So it's
okay. Well, I just found that really, really inspiring. I was like, you know, you just never know, like, especially in this world where everybody's going viral, you never know that thing you're going to do that's just going to catapult you, and you never know how you can make impact. I ain't gonna lie, I did have questions in my mind. Like, I wonder, is this overwhelming for her? Because it wasn't her intention. Like, does she feel like, oh my God, now y'all have this expectation of me? And now I got to do something where I'd rather just go to sleep after work. But
she's doing one more class. Everybody else is doing the business part of it. She's doing one
and
more
it's the same stuff she's teaching. She already did her first class, so you got to listen to it. It's very short. She was like, she's just making it like a mini series, but people are engaged. I love it.
Yep. Me too.
That's awesome. Go us.
Go us. That's good. Because y'all want to know, one thing I was questioning, I was like, I wonder, like, what is going to build community in this era? Because there was a time, like, when community happened, because we had a little more time, we got together. Even if it was on a relaxed type of state, we would play cards or do whatever, kick it with the crew. Nobody really does that no more. Last time you seen people just get together and kick it after work. Yeah. Everybody's exhausted, right? And then when it came to serious things like, you know, strategizing, we came together as groups and we talked and we strategized and came up with a plan that was not on the internet where your opposition can hear about it. Like, why would you strategize online with the ops right there? You know, so I'm like, I just don't think there is going to be a way for us to do this in this era. Nobody's forward thinking, and people don't like leadership anymore. No, like there when Dr. King was doing his thing, people were okay with being led. Of course, there was always a few outliers, but people were okay with being led. Nobody wants to be led anymore. Everybody wants to be for self. So I was just wondering what it would take. So this was like that moment when I'm like, she did something here. Mm-hmm. This is it. And I feel like this going down in the history books. When we talk about this era in time, 10, 15, 20 years from now, I feel like that will be brought up of how we collectively came together during this time in history when things were against us.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sad to say, it sounds like the same old song. Nothing brings us together like struggle.
We're in the struggle right now.
My God.
Oof. And it's like you're just walking through, just holding your breath.
It hasn't even been a month. It's like, wow.
Yeah. But nothing surprises me though. So you know how it's one of those situations where it's like, you know, you're shocked, but you're not surprised. I'm shocked, but I'm not surprised. Like, I don't know how to, like, I don't put it past you. Am I upset about it? Do I not like it? Absolutely pissed, but it's not out of your character. So
yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
It's not out of the character of this country to have what we have right now.
No, they put it in there. So
this is what they wanted. This is what they got.
Yep.
All right. Let's wrap it up. Go ahead, Heavenly.
And that is all for today's episode, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of the Prince George's Daily Weekly Monthly, where you get everything you need to keep you entertained, to keep you informed. Until next time, guys, we love you. Peace. Mwah.
Take care.
So are we